Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Make Mine, Mayday, the show all about Spider-Girl and her world. We are still going through our multiversal jaunt as we go through all the different and various multiversal stories. Before we get, we're covering a book tonight that's, well, a book. Before we get started, as always, we got to thank our patrons over at patreon.com/Spideydude Network. I want to thank the patrons you see on screen. Adam, Allison, Cindy, Ed, Greg, Janelle, Jessica, Jurgen, Catherine, Kale, Kigar, Laura Howard, Lutmoose, Master Drammond, Phoenician, Scott, Vanessa, and Vicky. Thank you guys for your support. And then, of course, our VIPs, Scott, Sebastian, Vinkman, and Winnipeg Webhead. Thank you guys for your support. And if you're an audio listener, please leave us a review on your favorite podcasting catcher. We'll read it on a future episode. If you haven't checked out our other great shows over on Spidey-Dude.com, you can check out Clone Saga Chronicles, Spectacular Radio, our Vault series shows, Amazing Spider-Man Classics, Sabu Sema Era Podcast, Voices from the Eerie, the brother show to this show, Spidey Dude Experience, as well as our newest collaborative thing with the Comic Binge Slot Symposium. Books of X is our Patreon first exclusive show, as always. But finally, our disclaimer, these shows are recorded live on YouTube, so if you hear references to live aids and or visual comments for our live listeners, please leave that no mind. And if you haven't already, give us a like, a share, subscribe on YouTube. Thanks in advance. So, got Kelly, as always. Hello, Kelly.
Hi. I hope everyone has their Taco Bell, as I requested.
Yep. Mentioning here off the top, we're talking about the first half of Web Warriors, right?
Yeah.
And so it features our girl Mayday and a bunch of other spiders like Aranya, Spider-Gwen, Uncle Not Ben, Uncle Has Been, Uncle Bunker Ben, Uncle Archie No Good Bunker Ben, or whatever adjective you like to call him. So here at the top, just here, there's not a ton of news. Spider-Verse is now available on physical media, so on Blu-ray, DVD, and 4K HD. So if you have not already made your purchase for Spider-Verse, go out and get it. It's also available on digital as well. Other minor news note here: final cutoff is approaching as we're getting to the first issue of Secret Wars miniseries to be ordered for November. So if you want to support our friends Tom DeFalco and Pat Olive, please make sure to reserve your copy at your local comic shops and or get your digital copy via Comixology. Chances are they may not have extra copies of those particular miniseries. So Secret Wars takes place in the original Secret Wars, the good Secret Wars. So we have no housekeeping, do we, Kel?
Don't think so. At least not right now. I love how my ring light, it like only color corrects when I have the Squirtle right here. So my emotional support Squirtle might have to stay.
Yeah, this is definitely a book where you need an emotional. Not really. I'm just joking.
Not really. Yeah, no. Okay. To preface, we make jokes about this being the hardest because we are like a week behind, and everything. But it was just. It's not that the series is bad. It's just that the series is not good. It was an obvious cash grab. And let's be fair here. It just, we can't. And with that, I'm going to let you go ahead and get into Spider history.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of dovetails in some of the points I'll make. So I've covered a little bit of this as we discussed during our history portion on previous episodes, but I want to recap just in case we have a new listener that's just starting with this episode. Just to recap the most recent couple of episodes. Mayday's world was shattered in Spider-Verse. Her father died. Her brother was stolen. Upon the end of the story, Uncle Ben of the Earth, of which was the world that became the home of the Inheritors, I didn't bother looking it up, moved to Earth 982, as Uncle Has Been, as I alluded to earlier. Mary Jane and Wes were kind of alluded to possibly being dead, but they're actually, in fact, alive. And afterwards, we got the much better Spider Island miniseries where we had May reveal her true identity to Stinger, and Mayday, J2, and the Warriors all helped to overcome the dastardly deeds of Hope Van Dyne. So at the end of that story, May got a redesigned costume, and that's where we are now at the point of our look back. So meanwhile, in the rest of the Marvel Universe, this series was announced at the end of the Secret Wars 4 event because apparently there was a third Secret Wars in 1989 that I had no clue about. So there's that. Dr. Doom replaced, in that story, Dr. Doom replaces Reed Richards and was basically a god. Doc Strange, Doc Doom, and Molecule Man try to convince the Beyonders to save the multiverse. But thanks to Earth 616 and the main Marvel Earth, aka the main Marvel Earth, and Earth 1610, the Ultimate Universe's collision, from that wreckage emerges Doom is God Emperor Doom, and for 8 months, sorry, it was 9 months, originally solicited as an 8-month story. We need that extra issue. We got Secret Wars. After the end of that story, Miles Morales was brought into the Earth 616 and Ultimate Universe died. As a result, an effort by Tom Brevoort was made to call this new main Marvel Universe Earth Prime, like we're doing DC or something. And somewhere Logan Paul's ears perked up, as did Deion Sanders. That's my sports joke. This naming of the main Marvel Universe's Earth Prime lasted about 6 months to a year, but has been quietly abandoned. The move of Miles to the main 616 would explain why he doesn't appear in this series. This was announced as an ongoing with the cover date of January 2016 with November 2015 solicits. This was also a part of a larger line-wide launch coming out of Secret Wars. Secret Wars was kind of a way to reset things, kind of an end/begin. This is where we also got the relaunch of Amazing Spider-Man with Parker Industries, just to keep it in the context of Amazing Spider-Man. Talking about our writers and artists, our writer and artists here, Mike Costa was at this point fairly new at Marvel. Most of his work previous was at IDW at this point and done some DC as well. But for the Spider Office, he had done a Superior Spider-Man annual and the Scarlet Spiders miniseries during Spider-Verse. Afterwards, he does do a few issues of Venom and hasn't done much more comic work since 2018. David Baldion was coming off a stint on Nova, and he also worked the last 3 issues of Chris Yost's Scarlet Spider. Issues 23, he kind of helped in as a fill-in for a few pages before taking on the final 2 mess of issues. If you've heard my rant about those last 2 issues, you know. More recently, he's done some great work on Ben Reilly's Spider-Man miniseries with J.M. DeMatteis, and that was talked about on the channel here with SDE, our brother show. So now that we know the 2 main players of the team behind these 6 issues, we will note how much similar to how we handled Spider-Verse and Captain America Corps, this is a Spider-Girl centric show, so we'll be mainly focusing on discussing and recapping to the Mayday parts. Kelly and I are each splitting this, taking a few issues, and with that, I will turn it over to Kelly. You have the first issues.
I have the first 3, and then you have the last 3, and then we're mostly done, even though we're splitting this in half.
Yeah.
We'll be mostly done. All right, so Web Warriors issue 1, Electroverse part 1, Static, written by Mike Koska, pencils by David Balderon, inks by Scott Hanna, colors by Jason Keith, editor Devin Lewis, cover date January 2016, and released on November 11th, 2015. Breakdown, we start in 1960s Spider-Man worlds, kinda. There's a fight, but it's started by the Web Warriors because Spider UK was looking for a place for them to train together. So they technically are the bad guys here. And May went along with this. Sorry, y'all. Anyway, and May went along with this. I think she wasn't quite aware of what Billy's training would entail. As the other spiders, literally get on Billy's case about how lame this is, they head back to Loom World, and May thanks Billy, but tells him he should probably only call her in an emergency, as he's creating the Web Warriors to help the worlds who lost their spider people, but her world needs her. As May is about to leave, back to her world, she overhears Gwen talking about being totally still wired and not ready to go home to her universe. So May offers if they want to go get lunch together. Gwen agrees, and I guess they got to choose where they want to go as the universe hop to 9105, where this Locos Tacos world has like this Kamar al-Den, an apricot drink normally served during Ramadan, but I guess in this world it's year round. May, okay, hold on, because big giant bug is freaking me out. It will not stop. I thought I sprayed it. Hold on, y'all. Just let me. Am I spraying it with freaking Just hair shampoo? Yes. But that's all I got. Anyway. Okay.
Kelly, he said squash the bug, not swallow it. And apparently Chi-Town says raid the Spidey.
I don't have raid. Anyway. Anyway.
Moving on.
So anyway, this Locos Tacos has Kumar al-Din, an apricot drink normally served during Ramadan, but I guess in this world it's year-round. May uncharacteristically criticizes the place, claiming she thought Gwen wanted real food, which, look, we can talk all day as to what Taco Bell really is, or, I mean, Locos Tacos, but when has May, a girl who takes her New York City street hot dog cart hot dog with all the toppings, extra onions, ever said anything negative about food? She eats sandwiches that put Scooby and Shaggy to shame. But we're now drawing the line at what basically counts as Taco Bell. A teenage girl is refusing Taco Bell.
I mean,
although she didn't refuse it, she did eat a salad, which is a whole other situation. You do not eat salad at Taco Bell.
I'll take things you don't take it. Eat at Taco Bell for $500.
But in general, yeah. So anyway, this May continues to food shame Gwen by telling her she can't eat her Naco/Crunch Wrap Supreme because May knows a thing or two about the hero shtick, which, Your Honor, I need to present evidence in this case as how Brie Larson, MFing Captain Marvel, has a video on her YouTube channel about her making her own Crunch Wrap Supreme. And I promise, besides subbing beef byproduct for an eggplant, it's pretty much the same. So please tell me, Mike Costa, why Mike Costa thinks a Crunch Wrap isn't a perfect lunch for a superhero.
Because listen, clearly, I will go look and find that video, and we will show as evidence, Your Honor.
Yes, exactly. Come on. And nay, why say Mike Costa thinks one teenage girl with a documented history of her own love of food that isn't salad has to eat a salad at what is the equivalent of Taco Bell, which is already weird as mess, but then to food shame another teenage girl she's supposed to be friends with. This is unsettling and weird. Teenage girls don't normally police each other's food choices. Women don't police each other's food choices most of the time. My friends and I just, eat our food and talk about normal things like the English dub of Ghost Stories or something. I don't like. What is
There we
this?
Go. That's Brie Larson doing her Crunch Wrap Supreme.
It is. She's making a Crunch Wrap Supreme.
I was trying to be helpful. Okay.
You are. All I'm saying though is women do not criticize other women's Taco Bell food choices. So what is this? Anyway, May quickly change the subject and ask Gwen if she thinks the Web Warriors thing is weird because plot. Gwen, rightfully eating the deliciousness of what is basically a Crunch Wrap, asked May to clarify, considering everything since the Spider-Verse has been weird. May finally sounds somewhat like herself in that, well, this whole thing is very weird and very much out of her normal, friendly spider, her normal and friendly neighborhood spider-girl person routine. Gwen then figures this must be why May asked her to go to lunch, because the other Spider-Woman in the group would be Anya, who, besides May's own history with her Anya, this Aranya is kind of a true believer in this and is basically 100% down to drink Billy's Kool-Aid. Gwen also feels what?
Sorry,
is it the phrase? I mean,
no. It's
true.
Just it's true, and I don't understand why they made that characterization for her, because that's not how she was portrayed up till this point. But
anyway. Oh, Anya, yeah, no, it's all the characters in Web Warriors being out of character. Shocking. Yes. Anyway.
And
anyway,
Hickman is right. There was a straight Dagwood type sandwich from Blondie.
I referenced it. I used a Scooby-Doo reference, but okay.
Yeah.
Let me get through the breakdown.
Sure. Sorry.
Anyway, So Gwen also feels the need to say that she's a rebel, which isn't very Gwen, not even this Gwen, but whatever, I'm done. Either you're mean, rude, and out of character, or you're dumb, looked down on for wanting junk food and out of character. If you're a teenage girl, it might cost us web warriors. I give up. So May tries to talk to Gwen about maybe taking a step back and focusing on her own world when this world's Electro decides to do Electro things. Gwen and May get suited up and head into action. This Electro had got his gifts from Seth, and May said to invite Seth to her next birthday, which we remember Seth from her world, right? Right?
We do. Apparently, he doesn't. But
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, May goes down as another Electro shows up, complaining because he thought this world no longer had spider people. Only he said he thought this world had a dead Peter Parker, and that did not sit well with Mayday. Then more Electros start popping up, and we head back to World 001. Noir and Spider-Man India do some science. Then we cut back to Gwen and May's fight, and they agree this situation might call for the whole team. Too bad Gwen doesn't listen to May and gets hit by an Electro and goes down, seemingly breaking her communicator time jump thing. As they are trying to zap back to the Loom, and this was all as they were trying to zap back to the Loom world for the others, and as May tries to find Gwen coming back to this world, seemingly seconds later, there's only rubble and silver bars. In World 1082, the Electros took Gwen to their base, and one Electro calls May grown up after a few pages we just confirmed she was still a high schooler. And I'm not saying that these Electros might not know, but considering that they know her world's Peter Parker is dead and she's his daughter, I'd assume that they could figure out she is an 18. But maybe last episode's rant needs to be reminded here and directed towards Marvel once again about underage characters being sexualized and made to grow up too fast. I digress. I literally could care less about May Riley, Steampunk, Spider Girl, Lady Spider, whatever her name is. That's in the rest of the pages of this issue. And honestly, we don't need to know anything about that story beyond she exists and that world exists. To be continued. So honestly, my review on this is just I think I said what I needed to say. It's just this is a struggle, man.
Yeah. So I did, while Kelly was doing her recap, I did double check just to cross reference. So Earth 9105 first appeared in New Warriors Volume 1, 11 through 13. So this is not its first appearance as a world. 1082, this is the first appearance. This is a brand new world created just for this series.
Yeah.
I don't know what I can say to add to the parts of what you just discussed. However, I do want to point out that I do enjoy the artwork of Baldion. I feel like he's a mix of Mike Ringo, a mix of old Luke.
See, and I don't like the artwork. I don't think May looks like May. I really don't like it.
He's a bit of a mix of old Luke Ross to me. I do like how he tries to give each spider their own styles, but I also hate his Mayday here. So yeah. I agree with you. And I think that's partly the design. I'd love to see him tackle May in her classic suit, because I saw him just do a really great job with Ben Reilly in the same suit.
Yeah, but see, this is my thing. It's not the suit that bothers. It's literally her face.
Yeah,
like it's the like scene where they're at the taco. No, it's the scene where they're at Taco Bell.
Oh yeah,
it does not look like May to me. It almost to me it looks like Betty Brant.
Yeah, I can see that. And I can see
I know that they can have a similar appearance, I guess, with the short hair, and they're like petite young white girls, but it's there's a way to make them distinct, and that's my thing. She's not distinct.
I agree with that. It's really kind of weird because, and they did this during Spider-Verse. They gave her the shorter hairstyle again when she had the long hair at the end of the end.
It's almost as if someone did not do their homework the entire time.
And the sad thing is like because I've really praised Baldion on SDE with his stuff on Ben Reilly. So I'm like, okay. But I also felt like I know in that particular instance, he did go back and read those old clone issues to kind of get a reference point. So maybe he's gotten better, but I don't know how much research was done here. So, as we will allude to and talk about further, but
we'll talk. We'll talk. I think as the issues kept going, I think more research was done, and then certain things were tried to be course corrected. But I'm sorry. For me, the damage was done, Mr. Casca. No offense, but no. So,
all right. Next up, Web Warriors number 2.
Yeah, number 2. So, Electroverse Part 2, Charge, written by Mike Costa, pencils by David Balderon, inks by Scott Hanna and Livesay. Hey, Livesay. Colors by Jason Keith, editor Devin Lewis, cover date February 2016, released on December 16th, 2015.
Did Scott Hanna ever do any inking? I can't remember off the top of my head.
I believe, and this I could be wrong because my memory is horrible at the issues, but I believe he did do the inks on the it was like the guest artist, but not the guest story. You remember what I'm talking about?
Yes, yeah. The guy that did the artwork on the one issue with Tom.
Yeah, and it's really pretty.
Yes. I think. Yeah. Okay. You're right. I think I'm. Yeah. I'll go back and double check while you're.
And then of course, we know Livesay. So.
Yeah.
So
I follow him on Twitter. So
that's cool. That's good. So anyway, to get back to this, again, I am only going to focus on May and her story and anything that has to do with World 982. So just know this issue does start with Max Dillon's origin of sorts, or one of Max Dillon's origins, as one of the Electros confides in Gwen. If you've seen them once, you've seen them all. Mayday swings in back to Loom World, declaring an emergency. May tells Spider India that Gwen's been taken. They group together and come back to the Taco Bell world, as I started calling it, and they start looking, as May tells Billy all about the Electros. More Electros pop up ready to fight, and then the fighting happens. May has to remind everyone to stay away from Metal, which the fact that she has to do this multiple times in multiple issues really does concern me about this team. Because you would think maybe they know not to be around Metal. But anyway.
Apparently May is the only intelligent one in this entire team. Apparently everybody else took stupid pills.
I don't. There's a lot of things that just happen for plot, man. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway. But as they formulate a crazy plan that kind of scares the Electros away, that's the last we see of May, as the rest of the issue focuses on Gwen getting the upper hand at the Electro base. To be continued. And then I wrote, insert the song from the Wedding Singer here. You know that one. Then you wrote what song?
I don't know what song.
Type in Adam Sandler Wedding Singer. Let's see what you find.
You're encouraging me to Google right now. All right.
I am. I trust you. I don't trust Brad, but I trust you. With the Google foo. It's a Google foo. I do trust Brad. I just don't trust Brad with. Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
somebody kill me.
That is exactly what I was thinking.
Okay.
Play it.
Next time I'll just learn to Google. I just snorted.
If you have not watched The Wedding Singer, I suggest go watch The Wedding Singer.
It's far more entertaining than these issues.
a little bit, man. And again, we're not ripping and tearing. We do meet, honestly, Web Warriors is so much just cohesively better than Spider-Verse, because it at least sticks to a story and actually sticks to it. However, it's just a lot of things happen because plot, and the characters are all very kind of out of character, which I do understand probably was just not a lot of prep time.
No, I mean, that's probably the biggest indictment of these these 6 issues that we're covering tonight, is that Mike he drew the short straw and gets to write this book. It gets a high profile launch. In my research, I saw that these 2 issues had 6 covers between them, 4 for issue 1, and 2
Yeah.
for issue 2.
No,
Like,
it was very clear. This was to help solidify the IP of Spider-Verse.
yes.
And there's good bones to the story. I think ultimately
Yeah.
the issue is the mischaracterization of certain characters to me
Mhm.
that really kill this.
Yeah,
And so as much as I joke and as much as it was a drag to finish this. This is, and I said this from the beginning. These were going to be the worst issues for me to read because I do not like rereading them. It feels like there's no soul here. You know what I mean? Like there's
yeah,
just there's no life in this.
mhm. It's just, hey, come up with a multiverse story. Okay. And genuinely because we'll talk about this, I guess, when we get to issue 5, but the pacing in these issues, these are extraordinarily quick reads.
That's also an issue. Well, other than issue 1.
Yeah, but
Issue 1
issue 1
was
had,
issue 1 was bigger. Yeah.
yeah, it had extra pages. So but yeah, you want to jump to issue 3? I mean, I don't have a ton to say about it, about
Yeah.
these
We'll go
first
ahead and
few
go to issue.
issues. All right. Let's go to issue 3, the breakdown.
I don't either. But anyway, yeah. So let's go to issue 3. Web Warriors 3, Electroverse, Part 3, Capacity. Written by Mike Koska, pencils by David Balderon, inks by Walden Wong, Victor Elizabeth, and Livesay. Colors by Jason Keith and Andrew Crossley. Editors Devin Lewis. Cover date March 2016. Released on January 13th, 2016. Electros broke into Loom World. Everyone's basically stuck where they are. May tries to call out and work out a plan to get back to help the spiders hiding in Loom World, like Anya. And I still don't know why May kept saying Queen and Country. Like, she says it like 3 times on the same page, and I'm very confused. But, whatever. They work it out, and I guess they honestly started forgetting that they needed to find Gwen. Speaking of Gwen, she gets to hear more Elektra origin stories, apparently, and once again, she uses that to get the better of them. We cut back to the big fight on Loom World, but the Electros are gaining the upper hand. Karn opens a portal to somewhere. I wonder where. And the Electros can't go there for some reason, and they wind up in the steampunk world we saw in the first issue, introducing us to May Riley, steampunk lady, spider girl, Spider Woman. You get it. It's May Riley, steampunk spider. Again, I told you that was all you needed, and I was right. That's all you needed. May then out loud says she wishes she could go to Loco's Taco right now. And even Noir makes a note that May is always hungry, which finally is an acknowledgement of her past love of food. But also, did we not just, have her hate all over Loco's Taco and then all over Gwen's food choices from it? This just makes it more weird and somehow more mean. Like, is Mike Costa's Mayday the Regina George of the Spider-Verse? Because I don't get this. This is not how friendships work. Has Mike Costa ever gone to lunch with a real friend? I implore you today, esteemed jury and judge, that to think on this question, because this is just, it's Taco Bell. You do not judge anyone by their Taco Bell order, just like you would not want to be judged by your Taco Bell order. Like, Zach, what do you get at Taco Bell?
I usually get the 3 taco combo. I add an extra taco and then get a side of chips and cheese nachos. So I'm very basic.
You are very basic. So that's okay.
I'm a simple person.
We do not judge people here on their Taco Bell order.
No.
I can only get a hard shell taco, so
right.
That's what I get.
I get soft tacos because I can eat soft tacos.
Oh wait, their breakfast potatoes are also gluten-free.
No, I've never had.
I believe their potatoes are gluten-free because I think they're not in the same, I don't think anything's super fried. But anyway, all I'm saying is we do not judge each other on your Taco Bell order. Taco Bell is a safe space.
Yeah, like if
how dare Mike How dare Mike Costco?
How dare you? How dare you desecrate the sacred bell of taco?
The sacred taco logos. Anyway.
That's in every universe, apparently.
And it always stays the same in every universe. Yes.
Exactly.
AKA, just like Taco Bell.
It is a binding agent of the web of life of destiny, okay?
And we do not judge each other's food choices.
That's like the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not judge thy Taco Bell.
Yes, exactly. But, I literally wrote in here, like, you just don't judge each other's Taco Bell orders. This is a crime. This is a character assassination. And somehow it only gets worse from here.
But wait, there's more.
There's more. So anyway, May seemingly only wonders if Uncle Ben and Benji are okay. Not anything about her mom. But, definitely let's worry about the guy she met a few months ago who just pushed himself into her world after blaming her for destroying his bunker. Yeah, sure, whatever. Anyway, speaking of 982, we find out that Gwen took one of the Max Dillons that she was toying with, essentially, to May's house, with Uncle Bunker opening the door. Max thinks he can try to hold this Uncle Ben hostage for some reason, and Uncle Bunker uses his spider powers to knock Max out, and then tells Gwen he might not be able to keep up with the younger spiders, so I take him trying to help May didn't really pan out for him, huh? But figures Gwen could use some help, to be continued.
Maybe yeah. Uncle Has-Been went out on an adventure with May and was like, I can't, because he was just sitting in his bunker playing cards with himself. Or he probably had like a Wilson, volleyball that he had made,
No, he's not that cool. Wilson's cool.
Wilson is the best character.
Uncle Bunker is not cool.
No, that's true.
But yeah, so I guess I'll go ahead with my review real fast. But I kind of want the story where Uncle Bunker learned he couldn't keep up with anyone in 982, so he just stopped trying to help May out. I also slightly want to know why Normie, who literally seems to just be the man in the chair for literally everyone in the 982, that at this point was also like, yeah, no, I'm not helping you be a superhero. Like, I want to know that story, because the Ben we know so far up to this point literally was pushing himself to fit into this world, into this space that isn't his. And generally, Normie does what he can to help people who, want to help out. So my brain is just churning on what could have happened here. Also, the fact that I would also rather focus on that than the current story we're reading should tell you my opinions on the story and this run so far. It was ruined the minute May was seemingly disgusted by a crunch wrap, because that's not the May we know. That is not our Mayday. Why did that kill this for me? I don't know. I just like to think that, I do know our girl pretty well. And I think we know she wouldn't have judged Gwen for eating a crunch wrap. And I'm just ready to get over this run. Oh my God. Because the amount of times I have gone basically explaining my irrational anger at someone hating on a crunch wrap kind of shows you that this is not my series. And you have to laugh. It's silly.
We're trying to have fun with this. It's one of those things. Is there is bad comics that are offensive to our sensibilities, right?
Yeah,
and then there's bad comics that is just this
is dumb.
Yeah, this is to compare it to any other things on the network. This is kind of the Scarlet Spider months. Those were bad comics. Some were well drawn, some weren't.
Yeah. So it's not Baja Blast.
No,
as Neil would say.
No.
It's not Chasm? I'm not mispronouncing that, right? Because
you're not mispronouncing it, no.
You know what I want to call him.
I know.
But I'm gonna try to be good. But yeah, no. So again, it's not that, but yeah, it's not good. It's just there. It just exists.
It honestly feels like to me that we're kind of highlighting the amount of research that Costa did was basically read Spider-Verse scripts, because
I think
everybody,
like I said, I'm not mad at I'm mad at him for literally one of the first scenes out the gate is two teenage girls. Like you have a girl criticizing somebody else's food, which I think is really harmful
Yes.
rhetoric. And like, I mean, like to have a serious moment here, that's where I was done. And yeah, the rest of this run has that like light on it because that's how you start this series with my favorite character with two female characters. So as a girl who reads comics and, you know, has been a teenage girl, has dealt with societal pressures to be a certain size,
Mhm.
that's harmful. And it's not accurate in general. And it like I said, it felt like a Mean Girls scene rather than you know, two girls that respect each other having a conversation about, hey, I actually kind of want to take a break.
Yeah.
Which is what should have been focused on. And we'll go back into this because, again, like I said, later on, as we know, there is a infamous scene of Mayday spending 4 hours in the kitchen to make sandwiches for the Electros. And while the intention, I'm sure, was to show, oh no, but she cares about, you know, their well-being. That's very that's very in character. You have your one single female character in that world in the kitchen.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll like I say, that's good. That's in the second half. We'll
Yeah, well,
definitely
I know, but
get
that's what I'm saying, and, like, so that's where my criticism mainly comes from. The rest of this is just I don't think he had the time. I honestly don't think he had a story. There wasn't a story to tell, if that makes sense.
yeah, no, and again, it was not. It, at the time, also they were talking. Their season 3 of Ultimate Spider-Man was also called Web Warriors, so they were trying to secure that
Oh,
Web
yeah, yeah, that's
Warriors
right. Yeah.
um for the comic stuff. So
I forgot
um
about that, but then again, I forget about anything that has Drake Bell, as we should.
yeah,
Speaking
well,
of messed up things.
speaking of messed up things. So basically, the rest of my notes on issue 3 was Anya doesn't act like herself, even though like her book only went 8 issues plus the Aranya series. She doesn't act like herself. India 5 issue mini, then the 4 issues like Noir kind of feels like
Also,
himself.
doesn't he look really whitewashed?
Yeah, the
Like him,
colors.
and then later on when we see his world's Mary Jane, like they're very like
Yeah,
I mean this is a colors issue, but like they are very whitewashed.
yeah, they're the shading
It's kind of
is not
offensive,
there. It
actually.
really is because like his Mary Jane. I mean, to be fair, she was fairly fair skinned in her bit in the
But
miniseries, but not that fair skinned. Like,
it's still like
yeah, that's
she's still supposed to be you know, and of Indian descent. So again,
mhm,
that's a little
yeah.
even
No,
lighter skinned
they
is not like that, like not straight up you look like you came from Ireland.
yeah. And I
So
have not read the new series, the current series going on yet.
yeah.
But I think that they are trying to correct some of the issues, I think, and make it look
Yeah.
make it look a little more because like the original series, he the costume is basically just I hate to call it Aladdin pants, but like the pants look like Aladdin with the Spidey top.
Yeah,
It just
well, I appreciate the change in the suit from the movies.
yes.
But yeah, no, there was there's a lot of things that need to be tweaked and corrected. This is a very similar situation to Cindy
Mhm,
as
agreed.
well, and just kind of hit and misses sometimes on getting the characters
Yeah,
voices correct. It's
exactly.
just really, like I said, it is a very jarring situation where it's like, wait, they just look like Peter and Mary Jane.
Mhm.
They
Yeah,
don't look
exactly.
like, you know, they don't look like who they're supposed to be.
Yeah, yeah. And especially now with the films and the redesign in the films, I think that they took a concerted effort to try to correct those things, like you say. So
yeah. So with that, would you like to go through your breakdowns?
yay! It's my breakdown time. Okay.
Yeah.
Web Warriors number 4, Electroverse, Part 4, Resistance. Written by Mike Costa, David Baldion, Walden Wong does the inks. The colors, there was 4 colorists here. Jason Keith, Matt Ieki, Will Quintana, and Antonio Fabella. Editor was Devin Lewis. Cover date April 2016. Released on February 16th, 2016. We open up at Earth 803, the Earth of Lady Spider. Mayday is eyeing a corset. They are trying to figure out how to get home, but since they are in Earth Marvel Steampunk, it's going to be a little difficult. Meanwhile, back on Earth 982, Archie Bunker Ben is telling Gwen, who is trying to enjoy a cup of coffee, that they can't keep the house pet once Jay and Benji get home. The house pet is the Electro they captured. Meanwhile,
and beat the crap out of, by the way.
Yeah,
he is torn. He is torn up. They tortured that man.
He's had a rough day. He's missing teeth. He's got black eye. I mean,
Gwen and Uncle Bunker tortured that man.
I haven't fought a guy in a long time. Ah! Finally, I can use you as a punching bag.
Look, we have to have fun. Like there's good little funny moments in Web Warriors. It's just
yeah.
The story. Anyway, let's go.
Thank you for pointing that out, because that makes it even funnier. So, meanwhile, our Web Warriors capture the the 803 Black Cat and get her little amulet that was given to her by the Electros. Cut to Earth 112255.
Hey! You missed a Mayday point.
I did?
No, it's actually very, very Mayday. Yeah. So, or maybe it's next scene, but the scene where they do catch Black Cat. And Noir says that he wants to beat her up, and Mayday says,
"Yeah,
okay, cool,
yeah." So we then cut to Earth 112255, a world of Ox. Gwen does her best Braveheart speech, and Uncle Ben is wondering what the hell she's doing. Big two-plate splash.
I also wonder what the hell Gwen was doing.
Like, I think Ben. Weirdly enough, Uncle Has-Been was the voice of reason in that particular scene. He's like, "What are you doing?" And
he's Gwen's voice of reason this entire thing, which should show you how weird Gwen is here.
Yeah, this is not really Gwen. This had to be a clone or something.
I don't know what's going on.
I don't. Like this. So there's a big two-page splash of them fighting all the autos, because they're like, their Otto Octaviuses is so it's not going to end well. While UK and Lady Riley are talking, Noir thinks that she's holding back and wants to beat the truth out of her. And Mayday responds by telling her that she would beat the truth out of him if he did that to her. Good job, Mayday. They get the trinket.
It was more of that line makes me want to beat you. Just because Noir really likes to beat women. I don't know if y'all know that.
It's true, because if you've read his series,
I know, that's why it was a good joke. It was a good moment. That's why we have to highlight it, because it's actually a good joke.
Yeah, it really
it's very much Mayday of going, no, sir. Like, no, Chris Brown, please step back.
I'm sorry. Oh no. Oh boy. Okay.
We side with Selena's face at the VMAs here on this channel.
Yes,
she did nothing wrong. She made a very accurate face.
Dude.
Why was that man on stage?
People were giving her shit. That made me mad. I'm a Selena's fan. So
where Selena stands on this channel.
Sure.
Actually, I do like her, but yeah, no.
Oh.
Anyway,
they get the trinket. Back to the story. No, you're good. They get the trinket and they move on. Gwen and Bunker Ben get introduced by Octavia Otto, who is a gender-swapped Otto Octavius. Spidey India has built a machine for the group, but it needs power to send the signal. Like, this machine is like an absurdly large, like machine. Turns out that thanks to Ham, he starts seeing, hey, did you guys know there's a mini Electro in the amulet? And they use that to power their comms. Use that to use the machine to power their comms. UKA comes up with a plan to try to make a diversion, and Mayday, being the only one with half the brain, points out how stupid his plan actually is, because his plan is basically to taunt the Electros into showing up to Earth 803. That's the last of the issue, to be continued. Now, I go on a bit of a rant here on the for the letters page. So, meanwhile, on the damn letters page, a call was made to mail in who you wanted to see in the book. No one was safe, and someone will die. To quote Spidey UK from this issue, and this is a visual aid, bollocks. There you go.
So I guess so obviously we know who dies at the end of this series, and technically,
yes.
Let's be fair, if that was actually the one voted on, fair. I don't necessarily believe this. I believe this about as much as I believe, let's be fair, this is the Jason Todd situation. I think this was rigged from the get-go. Again, nothing to say. I don't really have anything really to say on this issue itself. I do really like and prefer this Uncle Ben. I actually appreciate his willingness to help Gwen. And since Gwen asked and needs help, it's not coming off as him trying to fit in where he doesn't belong. But it's also telling that it takes her getting him out of World 982 that he starts to actually feel cool. Like he starts to actually feel like he fits.
Yeah, it's really
so that's it's weird.
And you're right. It's
but like
it's
I said,
sad.
it almost felt from the beginning. He forced himself into a place he didn't belong, and this kind of shows like the character just does not belong in that world, but he does belong somewhere. Like he can fit somewhere. It's not that Uncle Ben is a bad character. It's not that Uncle Ben, it's not necessarily this character doesn't have good bones. It's just he needs a good story and he needs to belong. And he doesn't belong in World 982.
Yeah, it just felt like it was a forced thing. It was an idea. And like we've talked about on this show, there's a difference between you can have a million ideas, but having a million ideas does not equate to a story. And I think it was a quote idea to do, Earth, putting Uncle Ben in Earth 982. But it just makes no sense.
And I'll also which this sort of gives something to this, although I don't think that it was intentional, but it shows like Uncle Ben can be a mentor, just May doesn't need that mentor.
No.
Gwen does very clearly, especially here. And of course, too, we do have to preface this Gwen is very new. She is, she was just created in Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Okay, so
yeah.
This is a very, very new setup of what we know as Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider, Spider-Woman. And obviously the character is getting kind of worked out. I still don't think it's the right characterization. But again, she's a little bit newer. And so that's kind of where it's like this Uncle Ben actually helps her, mentors her a little bit more than what May needed, because May has gone through so much already. And she didn't need her dad replaced.
The truth is, out of every one of these characters, the most established of these characters in this ragtag group is Mayday.
And even when mischaracterized, she's still the only one that literally is looking at the entire fight with the bigger picture mindset and actually sitting here going, hey, let's not do that. Hey, maybe don't touch metal if we're fighting Electro.
It's almost as if I've fought, electric people before. Again, we don't, the thing is we don't know enough about
she's still coming off the most competent, just like she did in Spider-Verse, surprisingly.
Yes.
and yet she's not being utilized the proper way. Again,
Truth be told, she should be leading the team because she is the most experienced person.
she doesn't want to lead. That's
But
the
she
whole thing.
doesn't
She doesn't
want
want to
to.
lead the
Yeah.
team. She doesn't want to
Yeah.
be there.
She
I don't
just
even
wants to
understand
go.
why she answered the call other than she's too nice for her own good.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but
it's a whole, like I said, it's a whole thing. But again, it's just like Spider-Verse all over again. She's the only one that knows what she's doing, and nobody's listening to her.
yeah. So Web Warriors number 5.
Yeah.
Which is technically the last part of this 5-part story, but it's really not.
We go through 6 because I literally just want to get this done as fast as possible.
Well, also we'll talk about 6 when we get to it. Web Warriors number 5, Electroverse Part 5, Insulation. Now, if you have not noticed, there is a theme to all of these titles. Static, Charge. These are all electric themes. So if you didn't already figure that out.
I must have the same IQ as Gwen. I didn't get it, obviously. If anybody doesn't understand, that was sarcasm.
Well, I thought I'd point it out. Resistance and insulation. So it's very low hanging fruit. I mean, ooh, you have an electro story. Let's bring up that particular set of phrases.
Okay, you know what? I will say this. I would not have hated it, but I actually think that this story could have been far better if we had started with the Electros.
Yeah.
Like, if we started with them finding each other and then them deciding that they were going to take over the Loom world because they needed the Loom for total stuff. Because I think the thing that makes this so flimsy is they're looking for quote unquote worlds with dead Peter Parkers.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
They would have been more of a threat. It would have been more compelling to maybe not just have that be their MO. It's so weird. Anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah. Mike Costa, David Baldion, Scott Hanna does the inks, Jason Keith does the colors, Devin Lewis is the editor. Cover date May 2016, March 16th, 2016. So our issue opens with Lady Riley yelling at UK that this is all a bad idea, and that they basically have a plan to create a Faraday cage in Battery Park. And one of the things about this scene too, like, UK is treating Lady Riley like she's an idiot, even though she's like an engineer and like a genius and creates all these gadgets and gizmos and things in this particular world.
Wait, Billy, the one that called everyone to a world for quote unquote target practice and was screaming out random military formations that I really don't think he explained ahead of time. That Billy?
Yes, that Billy. Because they're going to build a Faraday cage in Battery Park because, irony and jokes. Mayday thinks that this is a risk, and then the Electro boys and girls show up. May and Anya start making the cage while the rest of the group are fighting down below. Gwen and Ben go to the moon and lure the big, like, Electro monster thing to the main battle. UK gets his life force drained like the 90s show Carnage by Karn because Karn's really weak and he's far away from the Loom world. The farther away he gets, the weaker he gets. Mayday, seeing that UK is going to be a goner, stops what she is doing to help get him out. Mayday isn't going to let him stay and die, and just as they get to the top, they have to close it and kill off Mayday and UK because you demanded it. Meanwhile, everybody goes back to Earth 001, and Uncle Hasbin goes back to Earth 982 to go help with Benji. Final splash page is them talking about potentially recruiting more spiders. This is definitely a reference to the previous, or a couple letters pages ago, where they're like, and we'll bring in new characters.
It was the last issue, which means, again, production-wise,
yeah,
this wasn't from the things people were sending in.
Exactly. To be continued, kind of. Which that was a weird way of ending, because this is like part 5 of the story, but it says to be continued. So Kelly, your thoughts on this particular issue?
Yeah. So again, like I just said, I get to Zach, like, where you're coming from on these breakdowns. You're trying to give everybody the same feeling a lot of readers did when they were reading this. But when I first read this, I knew May wasn't a goner. It didn't feel right. Plus, it was way too soon from the call out because that's just not how production works. but the whole switch out did feel very much for plot's sake and less organic, especially as Anya, who's supposed to be quote unquote second in command. And again, the only reason she was told she was second in command is because May told her she was second in command.
Yeah. She basically looked also to Mayday and was like, Tag, you're it.
I really, yeah, that's literally what May did. She was like, Tag, I'm not doing this. Bye.
Even Billy was like, hey, Mayday, you want to be my second in command? And she's like, hell no, you're stupid, in her brain.
She was probably just like, I need to finish high school. Like,
yeah,
sir?
I'm not even 17 yet, Billy. Like, I can't even join the military.
Like, I don't have a driver's like, sir. But yeah, no, so that's that. But too, like Anya, which is very it's not Anya. Like, no matter what universe this is not Anya, where it's almost cold. It's very cold once she knows she's second in command and has to lead. It's very cold, and she is just like, yeah, okay, bye guys. Now what? It's very anticlimactic, and it's very it just feels because plot demanded it. And again, like I said, I can't be too sure on who the vote was for, if there ever was truly a vote, but it definitely wasn't. This issue was already down the pipeline by the time that was put in the letters page. So this was already this was the switch out,
Yeah. This was them, saying, I think you also probably had a lot of Mayday readers that were writing in, and people that were like, oh, we got to keep Mayday around because she's popular,
Okay, so here's the thing, and we know this. Like, let's be fair, Marvel would not use Spider-Girl as their first NFT if they had not felt that she had some kind of pull, some kind of viability in fan base, a dedicated fan base. So again, May's not the character that they're going to kill off. I think the worst thing that ever happened and the worst mistake I think Marvel will agree to making in the last few years, because they definitely won't admit to some mistakes we all know of, but I do think that they would admit that if they could go back, they wouldn't have had 982 Peter killed. Somebody would have stepped in and said no. Because that was a disservice to the character. And eventually, as we know from Spider-Geddon and then the end of Spider-Verse, they spend a large part of her part in the story correcting this, which of course it's all just jumble, but they do try, and so I think that that's kind of where we're getting at. So it's it's just, this is, like I said, I don't think May is always pretty safe, even though we'll talk about it in Spider-Girls. Where that was the time I thought they were going to kill her, like Buffy style, like to sacrifice herself for Annie. But not here. And so I know where you're getting at, but it was so clear it wasn't here.
Yeah. So and plus, given that you just had a 3-issue miniseries in the previous major event, Scarlet Spiders, where you killed off Ben Reilly, and it was kind of structured the exact same way. You were correct.
You know what? Too. I think you were traumatized, and I think you should send your therapy bills to Marvel.
Well, yeah. Well, considering the time period was during my first divorce of when this was coming out, I had a lot of negative feelings at the time. So
let's go on with number 6. This is easy peasy, very quick.
Yes. Web Warriors number 6. Nobody Knows Nothing. Written by Mike Costa. I mean, nope. That's just the self-explanatory.
Nobody knows nothing. Yeah, that's.
Mike Costa, you set yourself up for that joke, but that's literally the name of the book.
Yeah,
maybe he was trying to tell.
It explains a lot.
Maybe he was trying. It was a cry for help. Mike Costa's the writer. Dave Baldion's the penciler. Walden Wong, Terry Pallotte, and Scott Hanna are the inkers. Matt Yackey and Rochelle Rosenberg does the colors. Devin Lewis, cover date June 2016. released on April 13th, 2016. Story: Mayday's not dead. Her and Billy are fine. They are guarding the cage, appearing in the final page of the issue. The end. Oh, there was 21 other pages. Basically, we get a life in the group.
We don't need to know that. I mean,
the day in the life of the group. We have Spider-Man Noir narrate the issue. We visit Earth 50101, the home dimension of Spider-Man. India symbiotes are running amok, and our heroes win. That's it. That's what happens in the issue.
Oh, and everybody's whitewashed.
Yeah, like we were mentioning. Yeah. Kelly, what's your brief thoughts?
The only brief thoughts I really have is, why is May in men's period clothing here? Is it because of her haircut? Is she pretending to be like Billy's page boy Ward? I'm confused. It's awkward. It's weird. I kind of preferred it when she was looking at the corset earlier. Like, I mean, why can't she dress like her gender?
Like a woman. Yeah.
I mean, like cool. Like, the pants are fine. I did not like the coloring. I wish that it had been a normal suit and not a red and blue suit, because, you need to make sure everyone knows that's Mayday.
The colors,
and that's my issue, is like, if you need the colors to do that for you, maybe it should have been drawn a little bit different. And I normally I try not to be snarky about this, because I don't have any talent whatsoever to draw in drawing. But it like I said, it's very, it's a weird panel, but it is there to show you, hey, look, they're okay. And yeah, which is good. Billy seems like a creep in it, which then makes you wonder, like, I'm sorry, I don't really want Mayday alone with Billy. Like, that was my first thought with the way he was acting.
Yeah,
when I first thought this, I was like, I don't like you. Like, please step away from the underage child.
Well, it's just like,
but I don't like, that's not what he's doing. Like, don't get me wrong. But it's just, he's acting so strange. And Billy is just strange. He's just strange. He's a strange man.
Well, it's,
I'm not saying rest in peace, because he's that strange of a man.
Well, it's just it's very weird, because like, he's acting all chippery and he's so excited to be there because it reminds him of like his Earth, apparently. But like, but
also, that's kind of offensive to London.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Really
all of our UK listeners, please chime in. Is steampunk Victorian London anything like current London? I believe that's not true.
Like,
but y'all can prove us wrong. Maybe it is. Maybe y'all don't have electricity. I don't know. I would assume you do, but I've never been.
Well, and the thing is, May in this issue literally is like, Billy,
I'm so snarky. I'm so sorry.
Well, like, May in the issue is like, Billy, stop acting like you're so happy. We need to get the F home. Like,
again,
our hairs are standing on the back.
The only one with any sense. Neil.
Damn it, Neil. For our, should I say what he says for our audio listeners?
No.
Zach, please go to therapy. Thanks, Neil. I definitely need therapy.
Do you know what's also therapy, Zach? Watching the English dub of Ghost Stories with us.
Dude,
and if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, just type in Ghost Stories anime 2006 and enjoy.
Yes.
Anyway, it's actually maybe don't, because you'll either get something really funny or really, really, really offensive. Because 2006 was a different time.
My graduation year. Yeah, trust me.
So much.
Anyway. Right in the chest. Stab and twist. Thank you, Cal.
You're welcome. Anyway, so with that, do you have any final thoughts on this half of Web Warriors?
The fact that we were able to get an hour's worth of content because half of it was us making fun of these books is utterly shocking to me. But the fact that we covered 6, I mean, granted, the last issue doesn't really count. It was a page. But the fact that we covered 5 issues and a page worth of books, I think, is a bit of an accomplishment. And I think we should be proud of ourselves, because I didn't know if we were going to even make it to an hour, to be completely honest.
I just knew that we were not. I refused to try and squeeze 11 issues into one episode. So
yeah, we need a break in between.
we do
So
very much. So with that, we do have a letter, and I was requested that I had to read it.
Yes.
So before I do want to preface that the views of the email are the person writing in. It does not reflect my personal views, does not reflect Zach's personal views. It's theirs. They asked me to read it in a certain way, which I'll be honest, I'm not comfortable with. I would prefer to say they said instead of just read it outright. But I'm going to honor their request. And this was brought to us by Hickman. And I'm just going to go ahead and read it just as he has requested me to read it, which is, hello, Kelly and Zach. Following your excellent coverage of Spider-Verse, I have something I'd like to say to both of you, but especially to Kelly. Throughout these episodes, you have repeatedly apologized for being too negative as you reviewed Spider-Verse. I appreciate that you don't want to hurt the feelings of people who actually like Spider-Verse, but I don't think that you were being negative at all. I should preface that all of the negatives are in quotations, just so you know how this is read. There was no malice or ill will in anything you said. You were just being honest and open about your opinions regarding Spider-Verse, and every one of your criticisms rang true. And at the end of the tree, that's all that matters to me. I prefer blunt honesty to sugar-coated positivity for positivity's sake. The latter always feels artificial to me. I'm trying really hard not to get on a soapbox about what is or isn't negative. I think people need to stop feeling personally attacked just because someone criticizes something they like. I mean, our buddy, our buddy Greg XB, and again, this is Vinkman saying our buddy Greg XB. Not that he is not our buddy, but
yeah,
this is the part I'm uncomfortable with. I don't like bringing in people that aren't on the show. But our buddy Greg XB is constantly taking the piss out of Star Wars. Do I ever get offended? No, I shrug and go about my business like an adult. Now, admittedly, some people do take things way too far. Looking at you, Spider-Man Twitter. But again, that's not what you were doing. The anger that came across was honest anger, and given how Spider-Verse and everything surrounding it turned out, it was perfectly justified. Getting all of that off your chest wasn't easy, and I want you to know I'm glad you got it out. The Spider-Verse episodes of MMM were everything they needed to be, and more specifically, because you don't hold back, and I thank you for that. That's all for now, so until next time, or until Marvel stops restarting the Spider-Girl trades all the way from the beginning without finishing off the original runs, make mine Mayday. Sincerely, Vinkman. Thank you, Vinkman, for your letter. I really do appreciate you guys writing in. I do appreciate Vinkman writing in. But I do want to clarify, yes, we apologize because we know Spider-Verse is where a lot of fans came to know Mayday. But for me personally, I also kept apologizing because my anger, or really rather my own pain that is tied up to things that went on at the time Spider-Verse came out, got the better of me. That's not to say that I was invalidating my own trauma that apparently I have tied to Silk Origins of all things. And the weirdness that is how Mayday was treated in the Spider-Verse story, something I actually didn't realize like I had tied to trauma. But the fact that my anger and my pain wasn't coming from the story itself, it's just tied to the memories of what was going on in my own life at the time that these stories came out and I first read them. We as fans of anything tend to do this. It's the reason nostalgia is so profitable, because certain things can take us back to those memories, good and bad. I kept apologizing because I didn't expect myself to have such a reaction to Spider history in part 1 that I did. I really do not know why I did, but as soon as we referenced Silk's first origins, my mind went back to some of the darkest moments of my own life in 2014, 2015, and that was something. It threw off my carefully written dissection of the event out the window. And that's not how I like to record. When things are so emotionally charged, I don't like going off the cuff in a recording. I don't think anyone would. So I appreciate that you liked the rawness of the episodes, but it also wasn't how I wanted myself to act. It wasn't how I planned to be for that. And thus, that's why I apologized. It is what it is. I thought I was pretty clear about that in the last episode, but okay.
Yeah, and like, frankly, I didn't. Kelly's response was something that I wasn't expecting, because I see all of Kelly's
expecting
notes. I'm sitting there reading Kelly's notes. I'm like, and I'm in my brain, and this is the blessing and the curse of doing a live show. If we had pre-recorded that, we could have probably stopped them and like, hey, we want to re-record that particular section. And that's one of the reasons that we're on the SWAT Symposium. We're doing a lot of those pre-recorded, because like, it's going to be an intense thing for especially me, because I'm trying to represent one side of the argument. But I hear what Vinkman's saying. So I hear what you're saying here, Vinkman. I get it. And that what you're looking for in your entertainment is a bit of authenticity in the presentation of what we are doing. And we, for the most part, are able to conduct ourselves, especially here on this show, in a manner that feels authentic. Not saying we're not authentic on our other shows, but that's, specifically talking about this show.
Well, there's, like I said, I don't ever want to sugarcoat anything. I want us to always be authentic. I take that to everything I record. I'm never going to, smile and lie and kiss butt. Because that's not who I am. And that's kind of the thing, is that it's like, yes, I appreciate you liking the rawness, but see, I also said a lot of things in part 1 that were just because like I was stuck on a certain word because of my own trauma, and that wasn't what I meant to say, and that could be misconstrued and could be really damaging to the person I was talking about or alluding to. And that's not anything I don't think that was fair. And so that's kind of where I'm coming from on that. That's why it's like I understand. I understand. I'm very happy that Vinkman's happy with our authenticity, and the fact that even in a live show, we're ready to roll and we're going to still post it. And we're, no, what happened?
Oh, I'm pretty sure I heard some bang, bang. Something. I heard something knock around.
Yeah. Gotcha. But yeah, no. So, but what I was going to say though, is just, I understand that, but I also don't want to, it's kind of like with our authenticity, my apologies are also authentic.
Yeah.
So I'm not, it's almost like the way the letter is written, and I know Vinkman probably didn't mean it that way, but it almost kind of sounded like he wanted me to take back my apologies, and I'm not.
Yeah. I don't think, and we also, we try to have to, there's a very delicate balance that we're trying to strike here too. We want to ensure that we're infinitely respectful to both the fandom that helped save this book so many times, and the spirit of what makes that Spider-Girl community of yesteryear so great, and to those new readers that may have discovered the character in that book, good, bad, or indifferent, even though it's like, that's not the introduction that I would want for people with the character. It's a very delicate balance that we're trying to achieve, and the responsibility of being the generation that literally grew up with the character and being a gateway to the past and present. So it's really easy for us to lean into that negativity, as Kelly explained, but we really want to give everything, again, as Kelly explained, we want to give everything a fair shake. And that's truly my goal and ambition network wide. It can be really easy to allow ourselves to fall back to where we were. Clearly, I've got some trauma about these issues, as we joked about.
But that's what I'm saying though, is that like, that's why nostalgia is such a popular thing. That's why we love what we love, because they're tied to us, good, bad, they're tied to our memories. And that's kind of the thing, is like, I literally did not expect to be as angry as I was. And it was so funny because it wasn't, you would have thought like I had planned on, okay, I'm going to be angry when XYZ happens to May.
No,
I was not planning for you to ever bring up Silk. And when you brought up Silk, that like, I don't know.
Well, and I hate that because
It
the
made
only
me
reason I brought up
mad about how females
yeah.
are represented. Well, it was important. It was important, and that's the thing is that let's be fair, Silk's original origins is disgusting.
Yeah,
It's sexist. It's you know, as I
there's a
was joking, Mel Bride. It is gross,
yeah.
and it should have never been. Somebody
Oh,
should have stopped that, and it
even
didn't. It
even
didn't happen.
Slot is I think admitted
Years
on
later, after a
yeah.
lot of pushback, where he
Yeah.
eventually was backed into a corner and he could no longer defend it, because
Yeah.
defending it would then be like at that point there was nowhere he could skirt out um a defense that still made him look like a good guy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is then he had to admit yes he did something wrong, which finally good. But again, that's kind of the situation. Like I am glad that he has recognized that it's bad. I am glad that he has recognized that the fixing of some origins and the kind of reboot of sorts is better. And
Yeah.
that's
Well,
good. But like I said, I was not expecting
it kind of
I
goes
was
to a
not
point.
expecting to be that angry all over again, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
And it goes to the point that you were making in this episode that there's good bones to a story. There's good bones to an idea. And sometimes it takes somebody else coming back and saying, "Hey,
Okay, let's preface. There's no good bones about having a character locked in
No. That part. What I'm
locked in a
saying,
container and
right.
has the horny hormones
There's nothing good about that part.
and is being
But
called the bride. Nothing good about that.
no, there's nothing good about that. But
Especially
what they took what Robbie Thompson did and took the character to and made it far better. That's what I was trying to allude to. Was he took that character and despite the origins and made it to where she's supposedly going to be on Amazon Prime. We'll see if that actually ever happens.
well,
And
not
like
with
I
this
say,
trailer.
we're trying not to be prisoners at the moment. With what we're doing, that's one of the reasons that Kelly didn't want us to review necessarily all the stuff that came out this year. The way we could have done it when it came out. But we'll have fresh eyes when we actually get to
Well,
those
I mean,
books.
I'll even put that there. Like there's, I had like a 4-page thing ready to go, just as Minkman likes to say, rip and tear, about the Marvel Unlimited story with Spider-Girl because
Mhm.
it's terrible.
Yeah.
And like I literally had everything said on why it's wrong, on why like clearly this writer didn't do her research. But then, I held off on it because the last thing I ever wanted to do was attack
Mhm.
another, female, especially an upcoming female writer who honestly, as you stated, like Mike Koska got the short end of the straws, so to speak, for this set. I think that's what happened with Stephanie. She was told to write a story and was given a time frame. And if she wanted that money, she had to do it.
Yeah.
And that's not fair to her for me to put something out destroying everything she wrote because it's factually wrong. She did what she could with what she had. And when we do talk about it this year, we will try our best to, like I said, be kind. We don't
And
want
we'll
to
try.
rip and tear something. Like this is the thing that bothers me about that phrase, rip and tear. And again, this is not me like dunking all over Vinkman. I'm not trying to do that.
Because he's making a joke, but it's
He's making a joke, but it's the culture. It's the
right,
Spider-Man culture that is. We've gotten so used to that,
right.
and I don't like it because again, it goes back to like authenticity. I want to be as fair as possible. I want to give everything a good fight as possible. Now, of course, we're not sitting here treating any of these stories with, training wheels going, oh, well, they're not Tom and Ron. They're not, you know,
Yeah,
they're not the original crew. So, we got to treat them kindly. We're not, but we are also going to mention it. And we are also going to say, hey, look, knowing what we know about a production of a comic
that we learn thanks
sometimes
to
time is not there on, that we've learned.
I mean,
We don't want to sit there and say that their handicap, that they shouldn't have, I guess not. We don't want to not mention the fact that there's a handicap, I guess, but also we're not sitting here treating their story with kid gloves.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
we're going to always try to be fair and kind where we can and be honest my goodness, we've torn into this story. We're making fun of it more than we're actually saying anything about it. But that is what it is.
That's kind of what Neil says here. Rip and tear the product. Don't rip and tear the person. Rip and tear with consideration. And we've played mockingly with these issues, mainly because, look, in terms of essential books to read, this is not one of them. You could skip this.
Yeah, no.
This is definitely skippable. And it's one of those things where we are being completists, and so we're going to try to have some fun with it, so that way, and hopefully you guys see that and that comes across in what we're doing here.
Well, it's like I said, the main point of this entire podcast was to give you all of May's story, and this is a part of her story. It's just not essential. And
sorry about the clinking.
It's okay. But yeah, it's, what I mean? We know it's not essential. So obviously, we're still going to tear into this. This is not fun. But at the same time, at the same time, we're going to have fun with it. And we're going to try to not hurt anybody's feelings in the process. Not because that's, we're trying not to step on people's toes, but because that's the right thing to do. We're not trying to tear anybody down or hurt anybody or make anyone feel left out or like they're not a part of this world. They are. It's just, as I stated earlier, there's good bones. The story needed to probably be handled at some different angles if it had had the time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
There you go.
And so, kind of leading off to tell us what we got going on
next time, which will definitely, I think we wanted to try and get this done by the end of October, but we pushed this back a week because, like I said, it was like we were dragging feet. We did not want to put our thoughts onto paper. But
again, it's just
but I would say first week of October, maybe, we will be back to finish this because last week of September is my birthday and none of y'all are getting me. No one's getting me on. I saw the crawl space call out when the episode started. I'm telling you guys right now, no, I'm not doing it. I have to wait till October.
Yep. So this is her last scheduled thing between now
for the month. Yes.
For the month.
So again, we will come back. We will finish this, and we will keep on rolling. Because after this, it's Spider-Geddon, and that means Spider Girls. So we're almost out of it.
Yeah, and
we'll get Jody. We'll get Jody in those great panels.
Yes, that will be.
I want to talk about those panels.
We'll have to pull those panels and discuss them.
Oh, I've got like the side by sides. I'll have to send them to you when we record that because
there will be visual aids.
Yes, because we're going to talk about that page of the the Google, what I call the Google search. Google search.
Man,
I still want to know, where did her shirt go? You have that to look forward to.
So again, we're gonna have some fun as always with these next 5 issues, the last 5 issues of this run, and then we'll pick up to Jody's. Are we gonna talk about the main event? Because I don't remember how much he was in the main event. I'll have to go double
Oh, and
check.
Spideydude.
Yeah.
So we will need to talk about issue 5 when they come back, because you know how they. So essentially, in Spideydude, Anya and Mayday go off to find other spiders, and they get into Renew Your Vows, which had just recently ended by the time that happened. So most of their story is in Spider Girls, but then at the end, I believe it's Spideydude issue 5.
Yeah.
They come back to kick butt, and they're in like Zentai armor, straight up looking like came out of Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Well, we will talk, and it'll be coincidentally, it'll be really close to when we get to that the game being released. So because Insomniac Spider-Man.
Well, actually,
comes
I
out.
think by the time we get to Spider-Geddon, it'll be after probably, but
Yeah, it'll be right
it'll be right there, yeah. And then we're done for the year, because we'll start the new year with everything that came out this year.
Yeah, so we only have 2 episodes of Make My Mayday left in this calendar year.
The year, not forever.
Not forever. So,
Not forever.
well, so okay. Before we get out of here, as always, we always got to thank our friends over at patreon.com/Spideydude Network. Thank you guys for your support. Really do appreciate it. Once again, thanks to Adam, Allison, Cindy, Ed, Georgia, Greg, Janelle, Jessica, Jurgen, Catherine, Kale, Keegar, Laura Howard, Lump Moose, Master Drammond, Phoenician Scott, Vanessa, Vicky, the Spideydude VIPs, Scott McGraw, Sebastian Vinkman, and Winnipeg Webhead. Of course, if you've not checked out our other great shows here on the network, check out Clone Saga Chronicles and Spec Radio, ASM Classics. New episodes of Salby Sima are coming soon. A new episode just dropped last night of Voices from the Eerie. And of course, we'll have more on the current stuff over on Spideydude Experience. A new episode of Slot Symposium will come soon. And me and Neil have recorded the next episode of Books of X. So that will be coming onto Patreon very, very soon. As always, we really appreciate everybody coming and hanging out with us. You can find us on our social medias at Facebook, Facebook.com/Spideydude Network, Instagram, and Threads as well. Twitter at Spideydude Radio and at Make My Mayday. If you have not liked, shared, and subscribed here on the YouTube channel, find us on YouTube at Spideydude Radio Network, Instagram at Spideydude Network, as I mentioned. And thank you guys. Follow us on the social medias. As always, we'll let everybody know when the next episodes will be dropping. But if you subscribe to this channel, you will obviously get notifications as to when we're having new episodes drop. Of course, thanks to our audio listeners as well. Be sure to leave us a review, and we'll read your emails and your reviews up on the podcast. If you want to leave us a voicemail, it's 818-925-6631. The email address is at makemymayday@gmail.com, and we will read any and all feedback that you leave to us on a future episode. Once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of the Spideydude Radio Network, and we'll see you next time here on Make Mine Mayday.